Hello and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. This episode is dedicated to mark the 41st anniversary of Sinai liberation, as Egypt is celebrating this special occasion on Tuesday. The president addressed the nation early in this day in Egypt as he gave a speech marking the 41st anniversary of Sinai liberation. He said the occasion is a dear memory to all Egyptians and Arabs. Here is the full speech.
أيها الشعب الأبي الكريم I'm
speaking to you today in an important anniversary dear to the hearts of every Egyptian and Arab. The anniversary, the 51st anniversary of the Sinai liberation, the cradle of civilization and the center of all messengers, this sacred spot in Egypt that is full of the blessing and mercy of Allah with the divine light that has been revealed on its blessed land, increasing its glory, appreciation and respect. Sinai, under the title of a strong history of the struggle of the Egyptian great people. Throughout history, it has been the center of the greed of all invaders and greeders, and it is also the first target of the most ferocious terrorist waves that have been in Egypt throughout its history. Brothers and sisters, the 25th of April every year would always be a great day in the history of our nation, and it is the culmination of great efforts that we are all proud of. It's the culmination of the long diplomacy, the peace process, as well as the victory of 1973, and it symbolizes the glory and the honor of this nation that refused to live in defeat. The liberation of Sinai was the liberation of the Egyptian dignity and the victory of the Egyptian will and persistence, good planning and good preparation and implementation. On this day, I would like to express thanks and appreciation in the name of Egypt and its people to the hero, late President Mohammed Anwar Sadat, the leader of peace and war, who took the most difficult decision at the most critical moments and the most darkest days. God helped him to restore the dignity, the land, and to support peace and development and reconstruction. Sinai came back to go through a difficult, unprecedented test as it received terrorists and extremists from everywhere, targeting to separate it from the homeland through spreading terror, fear and terrorism, thinking that they are capable of frightening the police and the army of Egypt, forgetting that this great army and this heroic police are strong combats who do not fear death in the defense of Allah and the country. And they are supported by a strong nation that has always been patient, went through different fights and was always victorious. The sacrifices and the heroic acts by the Egyptian army and the police during war on terrorism over the previous 10 years would be a story told by the coming generations for long years in glory and pride. The great people of Egypt, the liberation of Sinai from colonization, occupation and terrorism, and any evil act that would touch it or any other spot in Egypt is a promise and a pledge that we make, and we would continue to implementing it. And to go on implementing this, we started the reconstruction and development of Sinai that needs great efforts and goodwill as well as patience to provide Sinai a new reality that it well deserves, and also the sacrifices of Egyptians in Sinai well deserves. In every spot in Egypt, we will continue construction development. Brothers and sisters, while we are celebrating today Sinai Liberation Day, we would like to extend thanks and appreciation to the souls of the martyrs of Egypt who sacrificed their lives to defend this country, and to the injured ones who gave parts of their bodies and health without waiting for any return. Tell them and their families that our country and the coming generations pledge to protect what you have achieved, all the great accomplishments you made through their alert awareness, as well as more action, development, and construction. At the end, I would like to tell you, Egypt is going on in its path, God willing, towards peace, good development for the interest of its people and all peoples worldwide. Many happy returns to Egypt and its great people, and may they always enjoy safety and peace. And long live Egypt, long live Egypt, long live Egypt. Peace be upon you.
نسترجع هذه الذكرى المجيدة التي تمثل منبع
anniversary that is considered to be the essence for the coming generations to learn the meaning of dignity, loyalty, belonging, and fighting.
And the Sinai Liberation Day is a public holiday in Egypt which celebrates the liberation of the land of Sinai from occupation back to Egyptian sovereignty. More in the following report.
25th of April 1982, Egypt regained the Sinai Peninsula, its flag raised in Rafah. It marked the final departure of the Israeli army from Sinai, which had occupied since the Six-Day War in 1967, commonly referred to among Arabs as the Naksa, or setback. Full independence, however, was realized with the return of Taba on the 19th of January 1989. The regaining of the Sinai symbolizes for many the success completion of Egypt's long struggle to restore the sovereignty and honor it lost in June 1967 defeat. Sinai was occupied in 1967 war. The Israelis established settlements along the Gulf of Aqaba and in the northeast portion just below the Gaza Strip. A war of attrition for its recovery was won in October 1973. Political and diplomatic actions started with the strenuous negotiations for the forces' separation in 1974 and 1975. The Camp David talks then resulted in laying down a political frame in the Middle East by the Camp David agreements in 1978, which were followed by an Egyptian-Israeli peace treaty in 1979. The Sinai Peninsula was returned to Egypt in stages beginning in 1979 as part of the Egyptian-Israeli peace treaty. As required by the treaty, the Israelis evacuated their military installations and civilian settlements prior to the establishment of so-called normal and friendly relations between Egypt and the Israelis. The Israelis dismantled 18 settlements, 2 Air Force bases, a naval base, and other installations by 1982, including the only oil resources under Israeli control. The evacuation of the civilian population, which took place in 1982, was done forcefully in some instances. The settlements were demolished as it was feared that the settlers might try to return to their homes after the evacuation. Since 1982, the Sinai Peninsula has not been regarded as occupied territory after the withdrawal of the last Israeli soldier, except for the contentious territory of Taba, which was returned after a ruling by a commission of arbitration in 1989. Sinai is the eastern gate of Egypt with vast tourist, mineral, industrial, and agricultural resources.
now we are joined over the phone by Ambassador Ayoub, Mohammed Ayoub, political analyst. Good afternoon, sir.
Good evening to you.
Yes, sir, how would you describe the date, this date in Egyptian memory?
It is an auspicious and unforgettable day. We celebrate something which is celebrated by all the Egyptians from all denominations and all the sectors. The victory, when we say victory, it is victory in both battles. In the battlefield in Sinai and also in the legal field. We thank our officers and soldiers for doing what they did, which was completed and complemented by our legal experts. Some of them are still alive, like Dr. Fuad Shihab. We are very pleased that we celebrated, and it is very important that also the second and third generation should know what is 25th of April is and what does it mean for them to keep their land for themselves and put their peninsula, Sinai Peninsula, in their eyes and hearts, not only in their hands. It is a very auspicious day, which is celebrated by all the Egyptians, and we are very pleased that we are still celebrating it and will be always celebrating it.
So, sir, how do you read the president's speech early in the day to mark this occasion?
The president highlighted the sacrifices of the armed forces and sacrifices of the Egyptian people, because the Egyptian people is the backbone of the armed forces. When it is celebrated by the president himself, this means that the state is taking care of what does it mean and looking forward to development of Sinai and attracting manpower and civilians to live in Sinai and to develop it in the best way so that there will not be a vacuum in these desert places.
So, sir, Taba was returned to Egypt through international arbitration. How would you describe the move?
Egypt was there was a time of the President Hosni Mubarak. Egypt was very tactful in securing its land. A good part, or 99% of it, was secured in battle, and the rest was secured in the by law. Yes. When our judiciary and our legal experts, Mufti Shihab, Wahid Rafat, and others, stepped in, and they collaborated with many countries in the world, not only from all Egyptian archives, but archives from Turkey, archives from Switzerland, and other places in the other countries in the world, so that to establish our rights to the last inch in our land. And we are keeping it and taking care of it all the time, thanks to the president that he celebrated it and gave this auspicious speech today.
So, sir, President Sisi in his speech said that the struggle to develop Sinai needs big efforts and patience. How do you read the statement? How do you describe the government efforts to develop Sinai?
It is a very important effort. Why? Because leaving the land without people makes it a target for the would-be aggressors. Putting people and working in people, the resources, water resources, I mean, in Sinai can accommodate up to 20 million people, the water resources only.
Yes.
Let alone the mineral resources and the characteristic resources and the other resources. Some factories are established now in North Sinai, in Al Arish and this area. And in South Sinai, a good part of it is properly utilized and exploited, and the invested as far as tourism is concerned. So, filling Sinai with people within its limits, within its resources, is the best safeguard, and the government is availing all its efforts to make this development viable, tangible, and so that Egyptians, we are complaining of the overcrowded cities in Cairo and the main cities and in Delta, and now there is an outlet for the Egyptians to go to Sinai, invest in Sinai, and live, whole families live in Sinai and develop it so that it will be a buffer zone against any aggression from any quarter.
So, sir, projects in Sinai reportedly aim to link Sinai to Delta and Nile Valley. How important is this, and what purposes would it serve?
This is a practical move to connect Sinai to the valley, connect Sinai to the western bank of the Suez Canal, connect Sinai to the Delta. That is to make easy access. Easy access is economizing in transportation costs. And this reflects on production and the movement of people.
Mr. Ayoub, unfortunately, you are running out of time. Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, political analyst, thank you, sir, for being with us. And by that, dear viewers, we come to the end of Africa Today. Thank you for watching.